This video I'll be going through what's going on with the new prime location public housing and how this might affect you as a home buyer, investor or even a renter. What's going on everyone, I'm Elliot and some pretty big news has hit the streets. Recently HDB announced this new prime location public housing model, PHL for short, and the reason why they're doing so is to really curb the long-term exorbitant housing prices we've been seeing in Singapore. This year alone we've seen more than 160 HDB transactions exceed the $1 million mark, and that is crazy high, and most of these transactions so happen to be in the prime areas or mature estates. So as a bid to try and keep housings more affordable, the PLH is going to look to solve this problem through 5 main initiatives. We'll go through each one of them right now. Number 1. Reduction of priority allocation for the Married Child Priority Scheme. That's a mouthful to say. If you don't know what the Married Child Priority Scheme is, it's essentially trying to incentivize young couples to stay near their parents. An example would be if my parents stay in an HDB in Jurong East, it'll be much easier for me when I apply for a BTO to get a slot in the proximity of Jurong East. By reducing the allocation in this prime flats, we're going to see more mobility in terms of who is actually able to stay in the prime location in Singapore. And it makes it so that you aren't just lucky if you have your parents who stay in like MOP or Toa Payoh, these core regions in Singapore. It's giving more opportunities for everyone. A common thing you'll be seeing is that a lot of these initiatives being released by the PLH is really trying to remove the luck factor you have when applying for a BTO. Oh, take note, the other subsidies will not be affected. Number 2, additional subsidies and clawbacks. Now since prime locations have higher land value, BTOs built on these particular pieces of land would also command a higher market price. HDB's response to this? Okay, I give you subsidies, go and use it to buy the flat, okay? Which is really good in opening up the property gates for lower income households. But then won't non-prime BTO buyers be like, that's not fair! I deserve the subsidies too? Well, to level the playing field, PLH buyers actually lose out in terms of capital gain. If you sell a PLH home, HDB will actually recover these subsidies as a percentage of your resale price. What the percentage is apparently very project specific, so we won't know what it is until the developments actually get released. This is a very clever policy that serves the public's interest through cheaper homes, but while at the same time sort of acting like a capital gains tax. So say goodbye to your lottery effect properties. You know, pinnacle of Duxton, you are one of a kind. Bye! Number 3. Now this is a huge one. MOP has been increased from 5 years to 10 years. For those of you who don't know, MOP just means that you compulsory must stay. That means you cannot rent out the place, you can't sell the place. You only can do all those kind of stuff once you actually finish the maturity of the period. Extending the duration is just further emphasizing the fact that HDB flats are meant for people with genuine housing needs and people who actually have a very strong owner occupation intent. What this initiative is trying to do is to sieve out Singaporeans using BTO mainly for speculation purposes. Yeah, that's me. And with the PLH already being in a prime location, if you actually manage to get a BTO flat there, there's not much speculation. You're almost 100% going to be guaranteed a very hefty capital gain. Number 4, you can now no longer rent out your whole apartment forever. Okay, this one really got me good. I'm just thinking if I'm a PLH buyer, I've already committed 10 years to actually staying in this property. At the end of the 10 years, I can't do anything with the property. What? I get that the whole scheme is trying to emphasize owner occupation, but this really blows. It's like waiting 21 years to become an adult because, you know, adults can do cool shit. But once you become 21, you find out there's, you know, it's just all disappointment. You know, that's why I feel that this you can't rent out the place things. You know, I'm really happy about all these initiatives looking to really curb the lottery effect happening in Singapore because those are really unfair. For people who really want to upgrade into a condo and then leave this as a rental property, man, it's really gonna blow for you, I'm sorry. Maybe, I just thought of this, maybe what you can do is actually to stay in your PLH and then you buy your condo as a rental property, but I don't know, that kind of seems less exciting. Number 5, this PLH will have dedicated rental flats. I like this idea a lot actually, with the previous initiative really looking to sort of curb the rental market in prime locations by carving out spaces for renters who might not be able to afford a BTO in the first place. Seems like a very well thought out idea. Now I don't know how the actual rental rates will be structured, but I'm assuming it's going to be cheaper than the market rental rates because you are buying HDB. That should always be something that they would do. Is that for those young couples who, you know, really got unlucky and weren't able to get a BTO flat, can in the interim stay together in these rental flats, and at the same time it's going to be good location. So Good job. So these are the general 5 initiatives that the PLH is really about. Let's see who are the winners and losers for this whole thing. The clear losers, of course, is locals who want to use HDB as a form of investment. Literally every single point I covered except for number 1 impedes the attractiveness and the yield of actually buying a HDB in prime location in some way or some form. You can't flip as fast. If you buy the place, you get capital gain tax, and finally you can't efficiently maximize or utilize the space because you can't rent out the whole room. I don't talk about that anymore. For property investors in the general market, I think generally good news. The PLH scheme doesn't really look to affect you in any sort of way. Maybe except for the rental block sort of sapping rental demand. So I guess it's a good way and an easy way to fix this is just don't buy a development that's really located near these PLH models. Another loser will be couples who want homes near good primary school, and this is a bit of an unintended consequences because of the extension of MOP. In a normal scenario, right, a young couple would get a BTO, they would have a baby, then they would wait for the 5-year MOP period to be up. After that, they sell the place and they buy a new development that is near a good primary school to sort of benefit from the primary 1 distance proximity scheme. But now with the 10-year MOP period, you sort of have to delay your plans of having kids in a way, because for everything to align, you have to have your kids like maybe 4 years into the BTO itself. So I guess now with the PLH, it's sort of a trade-off. Do I want a place with a very good location, like whoa, look at this, I can go to work so easily and I can go to Lau Pa Sat and have my favorite stingray dish? Or do you want to care about your kids' future now? Good job HDB for letting the future generation of Singapore having to deal with this kind of problem. Our last loser is singles. Now I should really stop calling them losers. In the normal scenario, when you're above 35 and still single, you're actually entitled to purchase a BTO flat of 2 bedrooms and smaller. However, with the new PLH scheme, you are not eligible to purchase any BTO flats at all in the PLH. The PLH scheme is saying, if you are single, screw you. That's basically what they're saying. I'm so sorry. For our clear winners, we have the general society. You guys didn't know a lot of the policies that went into the PLH was actually suggested and applauded by the general public through dialogue sessions. And all of this makes sense because Singapore's general ideology is that it puts the public's interest over private interests. You have your Land Acquisition Act, you have the HDB. Also from an urban planning perspective, the PHL mitigates socio-economic neighbourhood segregation. Now what do I mean by that? As we really know, if we really leave housing to the free market, we're going to see that the city centre is going to be predominantly filled up with affluent individuals, those who can actually afford this exorbitant amount of prices in the first place. So this policy does have good intentions because it is trying to foster inclusiveness in the built environment of Singapore. The biggest problem with the PHL is that, of course, number 1, it doesn't benefit everyone, just like every policy doesn't benefit anyone. And number 2 is that it's a long-term policy. The problem with the long-term policy is that it's not going to be able to deal with the immediate problems we are facing right now in terms of the very hot housing market we're facing right now. But we'll see what kind of initiatives Singapore's government comes up with in the future. But tell me what you guys think of this new policy. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you indifferent? And with that, I'll see you next time.